pallets that he's going to be using for the next project we're going to be doing. Hello and welcome to a very, very wet allotment today. It is absolutely pouring down. It is Friday the 23rd of January 2025 and we have got a yellow weather warning in London. There's another storm due. Some places in the country have actually got red weather warnings for wind and rain. So I'm just coming down here now to just make sure everything on the allotment is secure. So the weather is due to hit London tonight from midnight, and I think it's going to last throughout the day tomorrow and probably the rest of the weekend. So I thought it'd be a good idea to just come down here, brave it while it's not too bad, and make sure everything's okay. So I'm safely inside the polytunnel, but as you can hear, it is absolutely chucking it down with rain. It's so noisy in here. It's really starting to get windy as well. The main things I wanted to do is check that the mini polytunnel was secure, because that can just fly open, and also the compost bins at the back of my plot. They're the main priorities. And obviously this polytunnel, I want to make sure that the doors are closed, all locked, and everything is secure. So all I've done with the compost bins, I've sort of wedged. This one is quite heavy in the middle, but I've just wedged it nonetheless, and I put a brick on the top. This one, I put some bricks in it and I've wedged it again with the wood, and the other one's really heavy, it's full of compost, and the lid is quite tight on that one. So I think those ones will be okay. I've checked the mini polytunnel, that's really, really secure. I will lock the big polytunnel now when I leave. I've put the spare bits of cardboard just in the middle there because they'll probably just fly away. The only other thing I really want to do is just put something on the top of the container that's got the guttering going into it on the shed that I did the other day. The next thing I wanted to check is the container that is on the back of the shed that we fixed the guttering onto, this one here. I just want to make sure that's secure and it's not going to fly off. It actually feels quite secure. Could fly off if the wind gets underneath it. So I have got a really big brick here I could use. I've just found this piece of wood and it's really heavy, so I'm just going to put that on there. That saved me having to pick up that huge brick. So I'm just going to lock the polytunnel up. It stopped raining a bit now, which is really good. Just in time for me leaving. I didn't have long down here, but I was so determined to come down here and just check. And I'm just having a little glance around now. I might just move this because this is just going to go flying. That's the sort of thing that would just fly into my polytunnel and damage it. So I'm going to take that down. And my kids like that, so I'm going to put it in my polytunnel. I'm just looking around and there's nothing else that can really fly into anything or do any damage, I don't think. But that's the type of thing that I do when we do get a weather warning. I just pop down here and just have a look and see if there's anything that needs securing. Oh, it's nice now that rain stopped. I was getting a bit worried, thinking I'll be stuck in the polytunnel for the day. But I'm glad I've done that anyway. And I'll be back down here in the next couple of days and I'll be bringing you along with me. So I will see you then. So it's been a few days since the storm hit and I'm finally getting down to the plot to check to see if everything's okay. The sun is shining, the birds are singing, there's blue sky, it's a lovely day. So let's have a look. So it's really round the back that I want to check and everything's fine. Everything is still standing, which is really good. Last time there was a storm, one of these bins actually ended up like in these bushes right at the back. So that's why I really wanted to weight them down, but they've actually stayed put, which is really good. And the polytunnel looks good. The mini polytunnel looks good. I always worry that something might bash into them and do some damage. But the other thing I wanted to check, because it has been raining so much, is my new guttering system. Has it been collecting water? Let's have a look. And it's half full. Oh, how amazing is that? Rainwater collected, half full. And I'm going to use that to water my polytunnel. Everything's looking really, really good in here. I've got some cardboard that I put in here, which I'm actually going to be taking home for a project at home. So I'm going to take that home. I've also got a lot of pots in the shed, which I'm going to take home because it's time when I'm going to be needing that sort of thing at home for sort of like potting on and things like that. So I'm going to take a few things home today. I'm going to do a bit of weeding in the polytunnel. So it's not too bad, but it's those little seedlings that can turn into really, really big weeds. So I'm going to get all that done today. I'm going to give it really good water in here because I haven't done that for a while. And it is all looking quite dry in here. I'm going to check in the mini polytunnel now actually and check on my purple sprouting broccoli. These are looking absolutely fantastic, if I'm honest. What I'll do today is I'll take away these lower leaves where they've got slug damage, and I'll do a little bit of weeding because there's a few little seedlings dotted around, but you can see the garlic starting to come up everywhere, looking really good. I'm really pleased with those. So I think I'm going to sort out the mini polytunnel first because that shouldn't take too long. Then I'll do the big polytunnel, give everything a really good water, and then head home for Vince and I's project. So that's the mini polytunnel all done. It's all weeded, all the damaged leaves are taken off the bottom. Now I'm going to do the big polytunnel. So right at the back of the polytunnel, so right along the back edge here, you can see I've got all my crops at the front, and then at the back there's just more weeds. So in between all the plants there are some weeds which I can just pick out, but at the back there seems to be quite a lot of them. If I just left these would grow really quickly when it starts to heat up a bit. So I'm going to really make an effort to get every single one of these out. And I think what I'm actually going to do right along the side of here is sow some parsnips. I'm probably going to do that in the next couple of weeks because it is quite warm in the polytunnel and it's quite wet in here. It holds its moisture. They should germinate okay, and I think that's quite a bit of wasted space just at the side. So that's going to be my little experiment this year, sowing some parsnips along the edges of the polytunnel. And that is my question of the day today. Is there anything you are experimenting with this year, and what is it? As I'm weeding in here, you can probably just see that I'm just taking them out and I'm just sort of chucking the weeds. I am just chucking them. I'm literally chucking them onto the walkway, so where all the wood chip is. So just on this area here, I'm just literally chucking the seedlings I'm picking up, so these, along with any leaves that are on the beds, and then they can just die down onto the pathway and they will just decompose into the ground and become part of the walkway. So I'm really pleased with that. My mini polytunnel is looking completely weed free. It's looking brilliant, and the purple sprouting broccoli is looking good too. So I'm really excited about the next couple of months when I'll be harvesting that. My big polytunnel behind me is now again, it's weed free and it's all been watered and it's all looking nice and tidy. I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about this year actually. I just feel like it's the first year that the plot's sort of been ready for spring and it feels organised, and I just feel really good about it. So I'm now going to take you home with me, and me and Vince are going to complete a little project. So here I am back at home, and Vince is just here behind me. He is just choosing some pallets that he's going to be using for the next project we're going to be doing, which I'm going to tell you exactly what we're doing now. So I have got this guttering that was left over from a project where we added guttering to our shed down at the allotment. I really want to sow my peas into this. So Vince had an idea of how we can have this in the greenhouse and it not be toppling over and balancing on something. So my sort of idea was I would just have it something like that, sat at the back, and I would probably have put something on either side, probably just tape or something to stop the soil from coming out, and then I would just leave that there. But it is quite wobbly. So Vince's idea was to use some pallets, attach them to the back of this table that is also made from pallets that he made a few years ago, and have this attached with the gutter clips to that frame so that it is just out of the way, and then we can just slide it off because it's in the guttering clips when we need to use it. So Vince has got these pallets, pieces of pallet that he has just broken down, and then he's got the clips like this. Going to be attached like that, so the guttering will then just literally be like this. How fantastic is that? I just think that's such a good idea. So hopefully it won't take too long either, and I can get my peas sown into the guttering today. So that's the two pallet pieces standing up upright from either end of the bench. Vince is just using a spirit level now just to make sure that that is all level. So Vince is now going to put the two extra brackets on just underneath here, so just in the middle. And he's just said he thinks our next door neighbour's got some spare guttering in his garage. So I'm going to send him round there to see if we can borrow our neighbour's guttering, and then hopefully I can have another layer underneath. How exciting. So Vince has just gone round to the next door neighbours to see if he's got a spare piece of guttering. So fingers crossed he has, and we can add to our little invention. Here comes Vince with the guttering. So we have got a long piece of guttering from our neighbour who is a builder, so he has some spares, which is really, really handy. And I could probably, in fact, don't even cut that down because that's really sturdy. I was just thinking we could cut it down to be the same, but actually that doesn't matter, and that's actually more space to sow some peas. I think that's absolutely fine like that. And our neighbour also had the end pieces. So we are going to add them to this. We're going to drill some holes. I say we, Vince is going to drill some holes in here so that it has drainage. And then we'll add the end bits, and then I will actually sow some peas into these gutterings. I just think that is so amazing, and that is just going to make my life so much easier. I'm now going to sow my peas into this. I'm so excited. So now these are all up and running and installed, I'm now going to sow some peas. So I've got my multi-purpose compost here, and I'm just going to put a little bit at the bottom, a couple of inches, put my peas on top, and then fill it with compost. So in the bottom one, this whole long piece of guttering here, I'm going to do these climbing peas. Now I want to put my climbing peas up against my archway at the allotment. So hopefully, this probably is about the length of the archway. Hopefully I can slide it out, but let's see when it comes to that if I can manage that. But I think this is a really good way to grow them anyway. Even if I can't slide them all out in one go, it's a great way to start them, isn't it? Okay, here we go. I've got loads in here. So I'm just going to pop them along the whole length of this guttering. In the top one, I've got some Oregon sugar pod ones. These are the ones that don't grow too tall. So these ones are going to go either in my mini polytunnel or just tucked in somewhere where I've got a bit of a space. Now I'm just going to fill these with compost. that's absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed doing that, and I just think that's going to be so good when they start germinating, and it's going to be really nice to see, and it's going to be a really handy way to grow, less space, and hopefully it's easier when it comes to planting time as well. So I feel like I've had a really productive day today. Thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you again soon.